Good evening, everyone. This is Travis Tressler at Play Tennis Gainesville, and we're going to talk a little bit about the tweener today. First off, before we get going here, I just want to send my best wishes to everybody in Florida and around the country, and I hope everyone's staying safe. So, for those of us that don't know what the tweener is, this is going to be a shot where you get lobbed and your back's actually going to be facing towards the net. We're going to hit that ball between our legs. So this is a fun shot. It's not something I would recommend you spend a lot of time practicing, but since we're stuck in our houses right now, it might be fun to mix it up and give this a little practice. Ideally, if you're going to get lobbed, I would recommend running around that ball and either hitting a forehand or a backhand and lobbing it back to your opponent. When we watch the pro players, they've actually turned the shot not into a trick shot so much, but an actual weapon where they can be aggressive and do certain things with the ball. However, at the recreational level, junior players, I would recommend just doing this for fun when you're out there hitting with friends, and really try not to use this in a match. So today, with our tweener, we're going to go over the grip we want to use, the strategy for how we want that ball to bounce and where we want to hit it, a little bit about the swing, and then finally some drills you can do at home to help you improve this shot. First thing I want to talk about today is the strategy behind the shot. So when we're going to hit this shot, we'll be up at the net volleying, and our opponent will lob that ball over our head. So this is going to be a shot where we're running back, recovering a lob when we hit it. So when that ball bounces, this is super important. We're trying to run over that ball before it bounces the second time. So if that ball bounces once, it's coming back down, and we're going to try to run over it so that ball is actually behind us here when we're making contact. The other thing with the strategy is we want to let that ball almost bounce a second time and get really low to the ground. When we're hitting a tweener, it's going to be impossible to hit that ball at waist level and try to lift up our leg. So we got to let that ball drop almost down to our shoelaces there and make contact low behind our body here. Now that we understand the strategy a little bit, when we want to hit it and how we want to let that ball bounce and get behind us, the next thing I want to talk about is the grip we're going to use. When we're hitting this shot, I would highly recommend using the Continental Grip. So I'll find that Continental Grip, I'll hold the racket in my non-dominant hand, high five it, slide my hand up towards the top of my frame, and then slide it down. Make sure it's lined up with this bevel of our grip on the side of the racket here. So when we're hitting this, it's going to be a little similar to the serve. We want that racket facing away from us. The strings here and our frame should be facing out. And as we go to contact, we're going to pronate, snap that wrist a little bit, and get our strings facing towards our target. It's going to be really hard to do this with a forehand grip, so either an Eastern or a semi-Western or a Western. It's going to be really hard to get that wrist involved and get those strings facing up and towards our target there. Now that we have our grip down, I want to talk about the swing path with our tweener. So when we're hitting this shot, that ball is going to come over our head, bounce once. We'll have our racket up here with our Continental Grip. We're going to run over that ball and let it drop down low. And from here, I'm going to move forward with my racket, pronate that wrist. Remember, while we're hitting this, we're most likely going to be moving. So this will all be occurring while I'm moving out. I'll pronate my wrist, make contact behind me, and make sure those strings are facing up and towards our target there. Since we're hitting that ball so low, the strings have to be facing up to get it up and over that net. So it'll look a little bit like this to swing. That ball will come over my head. I'll run back, rack it up, pronate my wrist, get those strings facing up. Now that we've gone over the basics of the tweener, some of the strategy, our swing path, the grip, I want to talk about some drills that you can do at home to help you improve this shot. The best way to practice this is going to be tossing that ball to yourself and actually hitting it and slowing it down here. First drill I want to show you is just going to get you used to running over that ball and getting used to that timing and letting that ball drop low. So I'm not going to hit the ball at all right now. All I'm going to do is toss that ball up above my head and try to run over it and let that ball go between my legs before that second bounce. So I'll toss it up above my head, let it drop down, and run over it. We got to get that ball going low enough where it's going between our legs and getting behind us. I'll do it one more time here. Toss it up. I'm going to time it. Oh, it took a bad bounce on me there. We're trying to run over that ball. Next drill, I'm going to do the same thing, but now I'm going to add in a hit against the wall here. So I'll toss that ball up. I'm going to let it drop down low and hit it there. Same thing, tossing it up, letting it drop, getting between my legs. The only way we can get that ball over the net is if it's behind us and our strings are facing up. The last drill is going to be probably the most difficult. I'm going to start off, I'm going to feed the ball in off the wall here, let that ball go over my head and try to hit a tweener. Feed that ball, let it bounce, get my shot there. It's really important to use that wrist and try to lift that ball up high when we're hitting this tweener. Let it bounce, getting it up high over that net. Do it one more time here. Feed that ball, let it go over our head, dropping down when we're hitting it. As I said at the beginning of this video, the tweener is a very difficult shot. So if you're playing a match and you're not 100% comfortable hitting it, I would just let that ball bounce and run around it and play another lob back to your opponent. However, if you're in a match and you're up 40 love, up big in the game, you can try to hit this shot, or if you're just playing around with some friends, having some fun, you can do this to show off a little bit. When we're hitting it, I really want to emphasize that you should use some caution. This is an easy shot to hurt yourself when you're hitting it, so please take it slow here. We don't want any injuries. And also, we need to be careful that we're not breaking any windows, putting dents in the garage door. Before we go here, I want to go over 3 quick pointers that are going to help us with our tweener. First one is letting the ball bounce down low, almost bouncing a second time before we hit it. Second pointer is going to be letting that ball running over it and then letting that ball get behind us. Third pointer is going to be getting our strings facing up and towards our target so we can hit that ball over the net. Hope everybody enjoyed this video today, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.